try. Even if you disagree with your loved one and don't relate or cannot even come close to relating to what they're saying, just listen. Believe me, it'll make the world of a difference. I wrote this down somewhere. I don't know if Dr. Friedman, suggested these things to my mother or to me at one time in my life, but there's things that you can say that can help you. Such as, you're not alone in this. I'm here for you. Or, I understand that it's your illness that causes these thoughts and feelings. Or, how about this? You may not believe it now, but the way you're feeling can and will change, I promise. Or, I may not be able to understand exactly how you feel, but I care for you and I want to help and I want to support you. Or, how about, you are important to me and your life is important to me and so many others. These are all very important things to say, important things to statements or sentences to use to preface a conversation with someone who is suffering. And remember those. In the course, or in my books I've written, but in the course specifically, I talk about these very important ways to start conversations. Because I know what it's like to be on the other end, the bipolar person who is not in any state to talk rationally or to make sense of their emotions. And I know what's good to hear, and I know what's good not to hear. So when you want to convince a person with bipolar disorder to see a doctor, which we sometimes have to do, and which is probably one of the most challenging things, you have to be encouraging. You have to support treatment. Remember to explain to that person that bipolar disorder or any mental illness for that aspect or addiction or anything we're talking about that is cranial, that is heady, if you will, that may be a brain disorder as well as a physiological disorder. It is so important for us to convince someone who is suffering to get treatment by encouraging them. Remember, it is so important that they understand and that we explain to them over and over and over again, if need be, that bipolar disorder or any mental disorder like I was just talking about, or addiction or anything in that realm, not that it's a realm, but I think you know where I'm going with this, is as important to treat as a superficial wound, or say, I don't even know if that's a good parallel. How about kidney disease? Kidney disease. What do people do when they're diabetic? Well, they rely on insulin to exist, to live, to keep their sugar levels at bay. They have to do this to live. And when you convince a person with bipolar disorder to see a doctor, you have to remind them that mental illness is as important to address as chronic physical illness as well. You have to do it. And I know often that can be more of a challenge than it sounds, because people with bipolar disorder tend to lack insight into their condition. Sometimes this is the case, and it's not always easy to get them to a doctor. When your loved one is manic, they feel amazing and don't realize there's a problem. When your loved one is depressed, they may recognize something's wrong, but often lack the energy to seek help. So if your loved one won't acknowledge the possibility of bipolar disorder, don't argue about it. The idea may be frightening to them. You have to be sensitive. Start by suggesting a routine medical checkup, doctor's visit for maybe one of their symptoms like insomnia or irritability or fatigue, weight loss. Then just take the reins. Privately call ahead to tell the doctor of your concerns, and so the doctor has his antennae up. Things you can say that might help. Bipolar disorder is a real illness like diabetes. It requires medical treatment, or you're not to blame for BP disorder. You didn't cause it. It's not your fault. Or you can feel better. There are many treatments that can help. And also, when bipolar disorder isn't treated, it usually gets worse. And I can vouch for that. Many, 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 many years. Many moons of experience. These are all very important. I had one person ask me, what are the warning signs of bipolar disorder relapse? And I asked, relapse? So your kin that you speak of is diagnosed as bipolar disorder? And this man said yes, and has been medicated for almost 20 years. But it's a slippery slope sometimes, and I am very in tune with mood changes. So I say watch for warning signs of bipolar disorder Watch for warning signs of bipolar disorder relapse. Even if your loved one with the disorder is committed to treatment, it can happen. If you notice any troubling symptoms or mood changes, write it down. Keep a journal. Point out the emerging symptoms to your loved one gently. Maybe alert the doctor if need be. Usually, in my humble opinion, with intervention, swift intervention that is, you may be able to prevent an episode of mania or depression from developing fully. For instance, mania warning signs and symptoms: sleeping less, elevated mood, restlessness, speaking rapidly, increase in activity level, irritability, or aggression. Depression warning signs and symptoms consist of these: fatigue and lethargy, sleeping more, trouble concentrating, loss of interest in activities, withdrawing from others, change in appetite. And then if you have something fancy like a mixed state that is synonymous with rapid cycling bipolar disorder, you have a little combo platter of all of those things. Sleeping less, but fatigued and loss of interest. Withdrawing from others, but restless and rapid speech. It is such a bizarre state. But just stay in tune. Again, knowledge is power. The more you know, the more you can help. A difficult one to address, and something we'll talk about in the course as well, is what do you do? How do you prepare for destructive behavior? Because it happens. When manic or depressed people with the disorder behave in destructive or irresponsible ways, it's sometimes good to plan ahead for how to handle such behavior. Because when your loved one's well, negotiate a treatment contract that gives you advance approval for protecting them when symptoms flare up. Maybe you can agree on specific steps you'll take, such as removing their credit cards or car keys, or going together to a doctor, or decisions such as that where you're helping the person. Have a crisis plan. You have to be honest with each other. Very transparent. It makes things much, much easier. But the most important thing I always tell people with bipolar kin and my bipolar comrades: when you are in the midst of a bipolar episode, or when your loved one is in the midst of a bipolar episode, sometimes things are said or done that are hurtful maybe embarrassing. Maybe when they're manic, they're a bit reckless or critical, maybe a little aggressive, cruel. And it's hard sometimes not to take these behaviors personally, but you have to try. Please remember that they are symptoms. I emphasize symptoms of your loved one's mental illness, not the result of selfishness or immaturity. They just are, and you just are, and you cannot take it personally. Remember, H is for honest. O, open a dialogue. L, look to your heart. D, discern each situation with logic. F, you got to face anxiety. A, anticipate fear. S, you got to step up. T, you got to trust the process. You got to trust yourself. These are all really important things to do. I hope that what I've touched on today gives you a little taste into what we'll be talking about in the course and how I can help you cope with your bipolar kin, to improve communication, to improve life quality, all of those things. I wanted to let you know, when you go to the link to check out the course, to sign up for the course, I hope, that would be great. When you sign up for the course on Samcart, that's the platform, I will send you immediately a thank you email, and I will send you a copy of the workbook and 2 other special gifts. A gift, a 52-week, 365-day planner. Ride Out Life with Bipolar Disorder, You've Got This, by me, Agron, that I created for like-minded people, or for anyone for that matter, but it's a planner with no specific dates. You start when you want to start. You can skip. It's Monday through Sunday. You have a number 1 priority to write on your planner. And then at the end you get to reflect. So how did your week go? Enter the abridged version. And the whole message in this planner is, you've got this. Move forward. And every day has a quote that's very important to me, a quote I have included in my writing, or a quote from my writing, such as, let's see, I will open it and look. Climb into your lifeboat that keeps you afloat. We all have one in our boats. If we choose to utilize them, there are many important tools to help you move forward. That's me. And how about, you are not your mental illness. It does not define you. Your backstory is just that, a backstory. It is one of the many facets that make up the beautiful being that is you. And I will give you one more. Everyone has a backstory. Mental illness doesn't discriminate and manifests itself differently at different stages in life. Don't succumb to the illness. Make that your choice. Live with it like a roommate. Sometimes difficult, sometimes lovable, sometimes home too long, sometimes gone for days. That's what I have to do. And that's what I will help you to do with your bipolar kin. It's going to be great. Now, I have a very, 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 very important announcement about tomorrow. Oh my gosh, so exciting. I will be interviewing tomorrow. Let's see. Yes, at 11 a.m. Mountains. That's 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will be interviewing the exceptional Dennis Berry. Dennis Berry is a mental health news radio speaker. He has an incredible platform. He has been sober for a very long time and deals with all the issues that we talk about on this show. And he has a great YouTube channel. And I will tell you about that in one moment. It is, let me give you a address to find